Hello folks, this is Steve AB4. Now the subject of this episode is the solution, the answer, the understanding of my most recently published video. And my most recently published video was this one. Oh, that's not what we want. We want to look at it this way. Hello folks, this is Steve AB4, where I pontificate for, 19 minutes or so. Broken, creator across channel search. Broken, creator across channel search. I'll put a link to it. If you haven't seen anything of the YouTube Creator Studio, you just saw a little glimpse. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate what this video showed, and it's up here. This thing here called Search Across Your Channel. I'm a YouTube creator. I'm in the YouTube Creator Studio. I'm in the channel content view. There are several views, and I've got it magnified. What I demonstrated was that if I click in here to do a search, and the case was butterfly, it starts doing this. And that's not what it's supposed to look like. And if I try to do a search like butterfly, it doesn't do anything. It's broken. And because it's in that broken mode, if I then do something like click on shorts, it highlights the shorts. Subview is supposed to change and show me a shorts list, but it doesn't. So it's broken in two ways. Then if I go to another one like playlist, now it works. It's released. Okay. Let's go back to content and let's go back to this view. I record these episodes on this computer, and I do the editing and rendering and so on, but I publish them and do my browsing on the web on another computer. And when I used that computer and went in here, but on that computer, logged in as me, this worked correctly. At first I thought, since I know that other computer is actually serviced by a different data center, I thought that this, what's happening here, and it's broken, was some genius at YouTube thinking it's ready to go and they're test deploying it to a subset of YouTube creators like me. But I was wrong. I was incorrect. I got it backwards. They didn't change any code at all. They're not deploying something new. How could I possibly draw that conclusion? Well, it worked on the other computer, but it doesn't work on this computer. Well, a few minutes ago, I went to the YouTube home. Steve AB4. And I saw this. Now, you can see there are blank spots there. What does that mean? That means there should be an ad there. What does that lead to? I went, on this machine, I have the ad blocker fully enabled, but not on the other machine. The other machine where the search works across my YouTube channel. So I decided to test it. So what I did is I'm recreating. I went back to the YouTube studio. I'm logged in. This is the Creator Studio. This is their default page, but I always go to the content view. And at the moment, if I even click in the search across your channel, it's broken. But then I decided to experiment. I have more than one ad blocker. I have one in particular, I'm going to keep this short, called Malwarebytes Browser Guard. You see it? Malwarebytes Browser Guard. It has saved me from getting my computer clobbered several times. Sometimes it warns you against something that actually is okay. But I have had several cases where when I checked it out, it saved me from having my computer overwhelmed by something I really didn't want downloaded and running on my machine. So I decided to experiment. We're going to turn off the scams. Now, one of the things I also just noticed now is that when you change a setting in this particular extension, it refreshes your current page. And what I mean by that is I normally do it by holding down the Shift key and clicking this circular arrow up there on the Chrome browser. It did that automatically. And I think it's because it requires that in order to reset itself to the new mode that I chose. Don't block scams. So what we do is we put the cursor in here and it's broken. Still. Let's turn off malware. Now that's the real reason why I've got this, especially for malware blocking. So then I just click somewhere to close that view and it's reloading the page. And now I'm going to try, it's still broken. That facility is broken. Well, we've only got one more choice. And then I click over here, it refreshes, and then I click in search across your channel. Oh! It's working normally. That's what it's supposed to do. That's not an ad. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's look at the settings again. Ads/trackers, or malware, or scams. Let's turn on the malware protection. Let's turn on the scams. But leave the ads/trackers. We're turning on protection against malware. We're turning on protection against scams. Now it reboots itself. and I try to use it up here, and it works. So this Malwarebytes browser guard, hey, this is a message to you, YouTube. I know you're going to say I'm not supposed to be using this at all. See, it says current website. You can set it on a website, even web page individually, if it's different subdomains. So it's, as soon as I turn this aspect, this flavor of protection on, it reboots the page. And when I try to use this, what does this got to do with ads or trackers? And the only thing I can think of is, I don't know. That'll be for YouTube to figure out. Of course, what they're going to say is, just turn it off. I don't think this was done intentionally. It's kind of interesting that it breaks it. What does that Malwarebytes browser guard do you see what's happening there? I'm making it bigger. The browser has a rendering engine that draws this complicated picture with all of its parts and buttons and pictures and whatever. It doesn't do it all parts simultaneously, and it has to have logic behind it that when you make a change, it has to decide, do I rebuild everything, re-render everything, or do I re-render something within what's visible? Now I'm going to show you something. You see how it's got this thing? Most of the time when you're in the YouTube studio, when you see something like this, after you've clicked on something inside of the studio, and it starts to do this kind of thing, hesitating and doing this sweeping thing, what's happened is your browser has now sent a request to the cloud, to the YouTube computer unit that's handling the conversation in session with you, but it isn't saying, okay. It's like, I'm busy, I'll get to you in a second. So it does this to indicate that it's waiting for a response. If the response happens in 3 to 5 to 10 milliseconds, you barely even notice that, because it moves on to whatever the next thing is. Now, I'm breaking this down. You'll see what I'm going to do in a moment. It begins to draw a new dialog to do the search. Once I click in there, it begins to draw a new dialog. A pop-up box. Call it what you want. I'll show you in a minute. One of the things that gets drawn is two flavors, your recent video or show all. The blue means it's not selected. Your recent videos is the current mode. It's in fact going to show you the 5 most recent. For the beginning of the search, it's just choosing your 5 most recent. It's not a search, it's just a default view of that dialog when you activate it. But then you have to type something while it finishes drawing the whole dialog, and it's not finishing drawing the whole dialog. And so it's actually frozen, but it does allow me to do something like the UTTE fly. It takes it in, it checks the spelling. There's no red squiggly on it. See, there are multiple processes operating in parallel. Got that? This is all really very complex. This is not a two-person conversation. This is like this, to do this stuff. This kind of them tripping on their own stuff illustrates it. So if I do something I put like ragchew, which is not on their approved vocabulary list, it draws a red squiggly line. You see there was a delay. It sent a message, he just put in ragchew, and it sends a message to the vocabulary master. The vocabulary master replied. It's not on the approved list of words, red squiggly. If I put in the word extra, there's no red squiggle. But if I put a Z on the end of it, it says that's not an English language word. Each time I changed it, it was sending a message saying, is this a word that we know? Now, why am I going on about this? I'm trying to show you that doing this search dialog is actually a whole bunch of parallel processes, and not all of them got blocked. I've just been illustrating a process that didn't get blocked. And we're seeing a process that says, I'm waiting for an answer from somebody important. So we'll close this dialog and the search attempt, and now it falls back to the broken dialog because I still have a cursor in there. It falls back. See, there are stages. If I hit escape, I completely leave that. And when I do this, now it redraws the default view, none of which is active or interfered with. But the moment I click in here, it does this, which is broken. Now let me prove that it's broken. You can see what it looks like, right? It's broken. Now I go over here and I simply turn off this flavor amongst the three. Click here to get the page refreshed so that it's synced with the extensions. And now when I put my cursor in the search across your channel, everything works instantly. Everything gets drawn. All of the parallel processes work. And that's how it was broken. This is what it's supposed to look like. So now, when I put in the word more, it begins searching my videos. And I've got, it says there's 241 published videos of mine that have the word more in the title. See how fast it did it? Do you notice that the background is grayed out? Do you notice that you can clearly see the outline of the dialogue? You can see the Xbox was working in the other one. We were able to get out because of that. We didn't see this. We didn't see the word more here. It didn't transform itself. It has another mode. I can do show all, and now what's happening, it's drawn it this way, and it says that there are at 30 at a whack, there's at least 8 more pages of this. I can go to the next page. It draws it. I can go to the next page. It draws it. Okay? How do we get out of this? I don't know. Escape? No. What I have to do is click on content. That doesn't do it. Oh, you see this one right here? Title contains more. That's the mode this display is in. I can cancel it by clicking on remove. And now it goes back to the default view as though I hadn't done any search. Search is over, search results disappear. And so if I go butterfly, which is what stimulated this in the first place, it says there's 8 videos with the word butterfly in the title out of my about 4,000 videos. It does it instantly. All of the parallel processes, including the interaction with the cloud, all happen in 5 to 10 milliseconds, thousandths of a second. Now that it has this view, I'm curious. I haven't tried this. Now I bring this dialog up and I turn this on. Oh, it's going, as soon as I go out of here, it's going to refresh this. The search is gone, and now we're in broken mode. All right? Now the question is, and it's not one I can answer, why does that particular mode, which is the tracker and ads, the money part, why does it break it? I'll give you an uneducated guess. Every time you click on something when you're on YouTube, whether you're logged in as a viewer or as a studio or whatever, they're checking everything you do, prepping to sell ads. And in this search, somehow there's an interaction with the ads preparation facility. I'm just giving it a name. And it breaks it. And it breaks it in a way, their code is not robust. What does that mean? There is a process behind the scenes that when I initiate the search browser request, the search request, and it's supposed to build a dialog, make the request, get the answer, display everything. There's multiple processes going on in parallel. Some of them get blocked, but the main one does. And there's no escape, no timeout, no oops, but go ahead with the rest of it. It breaks it outright. Now, I'm going to do something as the finishing touch, and it was part of working in the back of my head that I realized what was going on. You see how the line goes sweeping, and I told you what that means is it's waiting for a reply. The process that created that is signaling that it's in a waiting state, and as soon as the reply comes, that sweeping blue will go away. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn off the offender. I'm going to redo the page. Now watch. When I click to do a search, watch for the sweeping blue line that happens for so fast you almost don't see it and then disappears. Did you see one blue line? Did you see it right there? Did you see it right there on the boundary of this top and here? Did you see it? It's already drawn it. It's pulling it from the cache. You didn't have to build it. But let's do a search. Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it? So I've shown you exactly the step at which it's broken. The request to the back end with the sample, is this a word? There's actually two requests. One is a spell check and the other is a database check. The spell check works, the database check fails. This is working correctly because there is no B-U-T-E-R, but there is a B-U-T-T-E-R. You notice you saw the blue flash and it took a little bit longer to, got it? So, yeah, a long time ago, when I was a much younger person, and I worked for that big internationally known, internationally operating IT company, my very first position for 3 years was as a software tester. Always looking for ways to break the latest genius changes and try to break them in a way that it's likely that the user would do something that would also break it, so the developer then knows to go back and write more robust code. Got that? Steve A.B. just an idiot running his mouth. And YouTube still is the problem here. Saying see you in 73.